Hi everyone, this is Gregg and Mira and Greg. And today we're going to talk about language as a social construct. I also like to say language as a weapon or as a window, and we're going to expand
Here,
on that.
here we go. Here we go.
And this is our 12th episode. We managed to do this. It took us a few weeks more, but we're back here. So yeah, the
Yeah,
floor
so
is
we,
yours.
we took our pre-summer break, because if we're gonna have a break during summer, we have to be ready for that break, well rested to have that vacation. So we took some time off. But yeah, hopefully we'll do keep doing these, do a few more, and have fun. So tell me everything you know about the language that you speak of.
um, I mean, you see that you know that I see most of the social things as weapons or as windows or as enablers or whatever. So this is a kind of how do you say professional pathology? I could say it like, for a sociologist to analyze everything and to see everything from a sociological point of view. But for the language, I mean, I really believe that is such a strong weapon to shape the society or to, how could I say, to reinforce uh, the current social regimes or maybe to also change them. So that's why I see language as a weapon. And the problem for me is that as most of the societies are patriarchal societies, then the language is also patriarchal in most of the cases. Yes, I know you're gonna
Big eye
roll
roll.
your eyes.
It's gonna be one of those eye rollers.
But this is it. I cannot say that this is 100% sure because I'm sociologist and I cannot talk with 100 percentages. But I strongly believe that uh, the language is a really powerful tool to produce reality and also to shape our beliefs regarding gender, in my
Okay.
case, because this is my topic. And I think that also you are very interested in this topic. So,
I am. It's been hugely debated. It's a current event that's going on across the planet. As we discuss how we're going to call people that are, you know, or how they want to be called, and our response to that. But I want to touch on first the idea of, I think you four times said language is a weapon. You finally settled on tool, and I wholeheartedly accept that because I think that's a pretty good definition of language. It's a tool. You communicate your thoughts and ideas and your intent. Intentionality, I think, is hugely important in language. And when you start calling it a weapon, your intent is to make it a weapon. So are you calling it that to hurt somebody, or you're saying that it's being used to hurt people? Which I guess that's probably where you're going, but I'm not sure. Thought I'd ask.
um, is it is that. So I think that in some cases it is used to hurt people. And to reinforce stereotypes, to reinforce discrimination, to reinforce the invisibility of some groups of population. But I was thinking when you said, you made the difference between tool and weapon, and I was thinking about this movie. I don't know if you've watched it, Arrival, with
Oh yeah,
the
the
yeah.
circular language people and the
Yes,
yeah
and this language expert researcher, and when she talks about the
movie.
difference between weapon and tool, and
Oh, does she do that?
and yes, because she says that
Right.
what is weapon in a society can be tool in another, and when it's a weapon, it's more like war oriented, and then when it's tool, it's like more peaceful oriented. So it, which is in fact the essence of what we're talking, like how language represents our intentions and also shapes our reality. So
For
yeah.
sure, for sure. I mean, just like a weapon, we'll concentrate on tool later. Um, Language can be used offensively or defensively, right? You can cut people down with your language, and you can also provide care and loving support or whatnot, something like that. I don't know, but I guess the what your intent to do with that language makes all the difference. So
Well,
not to get too sidetracked by that, but I know that we're going to eventually get to transgender language, and so we might as well go there. But what what is your thoughts on the transgender language that's happening across the planet? It seems this is something that's been going on for what 20, 40 years, mainstream, and it's just now getting a little bit more traction, and to the point where it's we have laws being written about it, and we have Supreme Court decisions being made about it. So, what exactly are we trying to do here? We're just trying to discuss if language is usable. Yeah, we use it, but I think what we should start discussing is how far do we allow others to control our language? Because if we have some sort of, I know the whole world doesn't have free speech, but speech is in a way free, because even if it's stifled, you can't entirely control it, right? You can't make people think the way you want them to. You can't make them talk the way you want to. I mean, you can to an extent, but when they're outside your control, they're going to have their own language. So, what are we trying to do with language and transgender? Are we trying to force people to speak or think a certain way?
Uh, I mean, for transgender persons, it's really recently that I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but not too many years that we're really talking like, I think, deeply talking about how to include or how to represent this group of population into our language, which might be difficult because, of course, any change it's kind of difficult. But when you said how far can we let the others control our language, I
Mm.
mean, I could say, who are we and who are the others? I mean, this is something that could be like, vice versa, because I, as a woman, I could say that I don't really feel represented in the languages, at in most of the languages that I speak. So how are the others controlling me? Like, how can I not let them control the language, and how can I be represented in the language? So I think that it's also an issue of visibility. I really want to be visible in the language, in my language. And also, if the language is completely erasing me, it reflects the society. So it's not something that it's completely detached. It's really a representation of our society. I mean, I think that maybe you could be a little bit more proud than myself because your language is English, so which is not as patriarchal as the other languages. So even though we could find a lot of expressions, but I mean, and we've talked about this several times. If we take a Romance language, it's so discriminatory against women. And I'm not going into LGBTI community. I'm just keeping the two genders, even if I just hate this thing. But like the binary thing, it aches. It's like, I don't know, I have headache when I think in these terms. But if I just think about women, and the French language is so discriminatory. I'm not there. I don't exist.
So
So who are
you
the
want
others?
you want your representation. You want to be existent through language.
Shouldn't the language, yeah, represent us all?
I think it should, and I think just as importantly, maybe more importantly, I think it does. I think that you're always people, not you, maybe you, everybody is going to be able to find something in language. They're about themselves. They're going to find themselves in language. And if you're going to look at language as something that is serving you and your type and your kind or what have you only, I think that's a mistake, to be perfectly honest. Because if you say you don't find yourself in language, I mean, then make yourself in language. Write what you want to write the way you want to write it, say what you want to say the way you want to say it. The only issue, and that's kind of my bottom line for that argument, because I know that you're saying that different languages, and she's going to tell us everybody that she has so many languages that she speaks. Oh no, here we go. It's just her advertisement for her languages. Anyway, just joking. But
Bragging alert, yes.
yeah, I exactly. I know that your issue with a lot of languages is they're gendered, and that's something that's been constructed over a long time, and it's not going to change overnight. And the only way it's going to change is for you to change it, for you to go and communicate in the way that you want to communicate and find yourself in it. If you're not there, and it's not society's responsibility to find you in their language. It's your responsibility to identify who you are and how you want to communicate. So I would say just maybe try to take the responsibility off of language and take that responsibility for yourself.
Of course. But
What
then there,
you said that, but you also said that you don't exist in language.
yeah, in the standards, in the in the standard language, the language that is learned, no, sorry, yeah, learned or taught at school. I mean, let's just take French because I'm in France. I don't exist because everything is in the masculine. So this is the standard. Even if I try, then I will have this backlash. Oh, you woke people, you feminist people, you this, you that. So, I mean, I don't mind. I'm kind of used to this because like this is my thing. And to like kind of fight about this, and I'm part of the society. So of course, like if I don't change, then the society it's not gonna change. But uh, uh, like maybe it's time that also the standard language start to change. So and being so conservative about the language, no, we used to this language. I mean, I'm talking about the academics here in France, for example. We are used to this language for so many centuries. No, I mean it's not this language. It has changed because language as a social construct, it changes. So why it's so difficult to include something about gender?
But
So,
it has been included. It's being
oh,
included. MX? What the hell is MX? Apparently that means Miss or
mm,
Mr. or Mrs. now. I don't know. I
is
mean,
it official in English? Come on, give us some examples.
have you ever heard of the word ain't?
Yes,
Okay. Is it official?
I don't know.
Well, yeah, it is. When I was a kid, it wasn't. When I was a kid, it was not in the dictionary,
So
not used.
language
It
changes,
is.
yes,
Language changes. It's just not going to happen overnight.
of
And just like
course.
finding yourself in language isn't going to happen overnight. It's something that you're going to have to seek out and coordinate and put some energy behind. Oh, and
Let's try
that's
to change it a little bit.
okay. We are changing it. Were you winning? You're winning. Your argument is win.
No, no. I'm not winning because things are changing, not
Too
even
slowly.
changing, but the backlash, it's so huge against these changes.
Well, who cares about the backlash?
Mm. In Albania, because I'm Albanian, so in Albania we have this expression that language, no, the word cuts deeper than the sword.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it rhymes in English. That's fantastic. It doesn't rhyme in Albanian. So
Okay.
that's and which is really true. But we have this. I'm going back to the weapon and to the gender things because, of course, gender. We have this expression that it's let's talk manly because when we say that let's talk seriously, we have this like let's talk like man. I don't know if manly it's a word. I'm just translated it directly from Albanian, but let's talk like man. And it bothers me so much because it means that if we talk like women, then we're gonna talk BS because like women are not serious, women are not so intelligent, etc., etc. So, and this is something quite old and in the tradition, Albanian tradition, but people still use it in this context. And you know, even women, like I've seen journalists in television saying, now I'm gonna talk like a man. Are you serious? So can you see how like all these gender representation are used in language? So this is what bothers me. And what bothers me more is that, and I agree in this sense with you, that we cannot change language artificially. We have to change also the society at the same time. Because if we just change language artificially, like we force some things, it doesn't mean that people they have interiorized these things. So they
Mm.
still will, even if we, for example, in Albania, even if we ban this expression like legally, in their mind, people will still think that men talk seriously and women don't talk seriously. So that's my
Hold
problem.
on. So
How to?
are you an advocate of government stepping in and banning
No, no, no. I
speech?
said even if
Oh,
this
well,
would happen,
see.
nothing would change in the society. So I don't agree with forcing things. I agree
Oh yeah,
with.
for sure. Sure things should naturally
Mm,
occur. That's it's funny you say that because my interpretation of what's happening with language and the transgender is that it's being forced. So maybe force is necessary because if you have a sect of community of society and they want representation, it's literally their responsibility to incorporate that into language. So force has to be provided or it won't happen. And you said you're from Albania and you have certain sayings. Well, I'm from Florida. We don't got a lot of sayings. We're just Florida people. We go to the beach and we do beach stuff, and that's great. So we don't talk about let's have a manly conversation. Um, yeah, maybe we do. I don't know, but I mean, if you want to have an expression that says, "Hey, let's talk like women for a moment." I mean, I think that would be
I
pretty
don't want.
sexy
I
to do
don't
so.
want to have.
I think it would be pretty sexist to do though, but you could do that within your own world, and if it catches on, it'll spread, and next thing you know, they'll coin it after you, and you'll be some history book, or excuse me, some herstory book, and then you'll have the things you want. Everybody's language is theirs to use. So
No,
I guess
but
I
it's a.
guess I acquiesce with some few exceptions. I can't
Uh,
stand the idea of redrawing. It's like gerrymandering. If we're gonna get the world cisgender, if somebody ever says cisgender to me, I don't even know it. I can't say in a recorded documentation of how would I respond. If so, because my reaction to cisgender is visceral. I have no idea why I need to say gender over cisgender. And I guess it could be derogatory from my perspective, or from my side to say something like, and this is just for theory here, to say that there are normal people or there are normal gender people, and I guess I don't need to do that, and I won't do that. But also, what I'm not going to do is tell me something like the big woman argument. What is a woman? Um, and and or tell me that, hey, a trans man is a woman, or trans, I don't even know how that shit works. I don't even know how that works, to be perfectly honest. Um, but there has to be truth in language. So if a woman is somebody that gives birth to a child, has female, and that's still a word as far as I understand, the doctors are telling me that female genitalia. Why are we talking about genitalia all the time? I don't know, but whatever. Then why can't we stand on that word? A woman is a female human that can have babies and has female genitalia and X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to be forced to accept a man dressing as a woman and saying that's a woman. I don't have any problem with a man dressing as a woman. I really don't. Um, we shouldn't get too deep into that. No pun intended. Some pun intended. But I don't need to change my language to capitulate in that manner. I don't want to. I don't want to. So the word cis should be stricken
So
from the record.
you just don't change your language. It's fine. Say uh, a man dressing like a woman. You know that that's not true. So we've discussed about this even
Hold
here
on.
in the
Hold on for a
podcast.
minute.
So
How is that not true?
it's not true. It's because it's not as simple as just dressing like a woman. So I could dress like a man, but I'm not a transgender person, and I'm not a trans man. Uh, because a transgender person, it's a person, and here we have the not the discrepancy, but the difference between sex and gender. So someone with male genitalia, but who doesn't feel like a man and uh, have has a huge difference between the sex, the biological sex, and the gender, uh, is a trans man or a trans woman. It's not just the change of clothes. It's
Sure. They
a
are okay.
so
Let's be clear.
it's not
They
feeling a boy and it's not feeling a girl. So you don't feel in your body. It's not you. You may have a vagina, but you don't feel like a girl. So, and that's not just by dressing things. So, and if somebody, uh, like this young boy or this young girl, they want to be called trans boy or trans girl, what's the problem?
You do you
So,
not understand how confusing that is? So,
no, it's
okay,
so clear for me.
you just said this young boy or this young girl wants to
Mm,
feel like a trans boy or a trans girl. How can we even have the conversation about feeling different from who you are without laying down language that establishes who you are originally as opposed to who you feel you are? You can't even have that discussion by throwing all this crap into right now. I don't know if a man that, I'm sorry, I'm going to use the language that I understand. I don't
hmm.
know if a man dressing as a woman is a trans man or a trans woman. I literally do not know which one that is. That's because the language that's being, you're exploiting my language and you're making it confusing for
It's
somebody's
not your
betterment.
language, it's our language.
Sure as hell is my language.
It's our
Sure as
language.
hell is. Come get it
No,
from me. How about that? If it's not mine, come and get it from me.
I cannot win like physically with you. You're a former military, so
Okay. I mean, so come get it from me analytically or intellectually. Come get it from me. You
so
can't.
first,
Mine,
no,
my
first,
language.
no, it's our language, and we can
It can be
change it.
both. The inclusive.
Yes, yes, inclusive. So can we also have some people who uh were born with a penis, but they are women and they
No,
want to be called trans women?
can't.
And you look at this, like they are, they call themselves trans women. even to show that they have transformed. So it's so generous of them to have
Well, I,
this
I, I
trans
appreciate that
before.
generosity if they do say I'm a trans woman, but if they say I'm a woman, period, I have a problem with that. I cannot let that go because
Why? But what's a
it's
woman? We
inaccurate.
decided what's a woman. So it's our society. We decided it socially.
Okay, so
And what is a woman in Florida? It's not a woman in Paris. I'm sorry. So it's so
I sure
different.
hope it is because I have particular, anyway, we'll go away from that. The idea that my language is going to expand, I have no problem with. The idea that words are going to take on new meaning, I have no problem with. The idea that somebody is trying to make me take a word that has a general understanding and make it mean something entirely different, I have a huge problem with because
Why?
accuracy.
No, it's not accuracy, I think. I mean, sorry, because
That's
I kind of very rude of me, but
no,
uh,
it's okay. I know you. If I mean, let's face it. If I'm going to do anything that requires just writing words down with no facial expression, no hand signals, or nothing or more than just words, it's going to be entirely confusing to use a word that means everything. I mean, you might as well walk around and have conversations like, have you done your everything? Yes, I did my everything. I did nothing. Oh, well, nothing's part of everything, so there's no nothing. I mean,
it's not
it's
that. It's not
ridiculous.
that.
Absolutely ridiculous.
No, it's not that.
Well,
You're
what is
being very simplistic, and you know that. Yeah. And
no,
you
you
know
have
that.
to be
No,
simplistic at some point you have to have a foundation. And if my foundation of the understanding of the word woman is a person that may or may not have a penis, I'm going to tell you that that's not going to really work with me.
that's just a female or a male. It's
That's
not a
not a
woman and a man. A woman or a man, it's the gender, and it's completely a different thing.
I've been told that for a lot of years now. I remember
Yeah.
my first time I was in class. It wasn't long ago, and I was
Can you
told that
imagine how
sex.
frustrating it is for me to have been talking about these things from decades
I
now?
see. Well, yeah, sure. That's very frustrating. But my
You were
point is,
telling about the class. Sorry, I
I was told
interrupted
that
you.
sex and gender are these different things, and you know what? You could probably create some, a list of sentences and a paragraph and a chapter that tells me that there's a difference between sex and gender, but ultimately it's just words that are trying to force me to believe something that's not true. Because please tell me the difference between sex and gender. Sex
The
is it a
dog,
sex?
it's the dog that is there. It is a female
Oh, yeah.
because it has a vagina.
Freya is a wonderful puppy animal, and I
Yeah, which is
can't say bad
fantastic.
things
Yes,
about
and I love. No, I'm just
her. All right.
saying that she's fantastic.
Freya
She's
is a
great, and she's
female
a
dog.
female dog.
Yes.
And I'm a female human because I just have a vagina. So this is the female. That's it.
Okay.
Then the problem is that how I'm raised and how I'm taught what is a girl and what is a woman, it's completely different from my vagina. And you know that, but you don't want to believe.
Well, I think or excuse me, the dog example is a good example. Because dogs don't know if they're male or female. I mean, they know something about themselves. They have a part, and they really can't theorize about another part because they might not have that cognitive ability. So a female dog doesn't know that she's a female.
I don't know that.
Well, let's say for simplicity's sake that she doesn't. She doesn't even know she's a dog, but we'll say that she knows she's exists. She's an animal. She has a vagina. Her culture, including humans, I guess, they treat her like a dog, either as a wonderful dog beast or like a horrible dog. And I hope that's not the case, but they treat her like a dog, so she knows who she is as an individual, and she doesn't take on the characteristics. I mean, to some point she does. Dogs know about breeding, and when two female dogs are together, I suppose they recognize that they're not going to breed. Maybe they can do other things, and we don't really. I don't want to talk on that about that. But as far as dogs are concerned, there's the type of dog that they can breed with, or the type of dog that they can't breed with. So what do we call that? Do we call that their gender or their sex?
I don't know. I
Oh,
haven't studied dogs.
okay. Academia aside, we all have common sense. We all have lived experience. Use some of your lived experience to kind of create an idea of a dog or dog's mind, a dog's imagination. He knows, she knows, it knows. There are some dogs that it does certain things with, and other dogs it doesn't do those certain things with. Is that the dog's sex or the dog's gender?
The dog's gender would be all the different ways of behaving. It's not just having sex with. That's a sexual orientation. And as I know, scientists, they have shown that in all the animal world, we have same-sex relationships, which
But
why
not same sex
human
breeding.
wouldn't be?
There's no same sex breeding. There is no same sex breeding. Can we get an agreement on that? Can I get a hallelujah?
No, I don't know. I
Well, you
have
don't
to
know.
check about it. I have to check about it.
Are you telling me you think that there's this case where two male dogs, two penis bearing dogs, have created an offspring?
No, I don't
Thank you.
know that, but I think that that's not possible.
I also think that's not
Hmm.
possible. That's why breeding, the word breeding, I use that specifically. There's no, that's not a thing. I guess my point, if I have one, because I'm not sure, um, is that if we use the model of the dog has a capability unto its sex to either be able to continue its species through reproduction or not, or you know,
Okay.
you can't extend that to another sex of a dog. Two male dogs are not going to make a baby. Two female dogs are not going to make a baby. They don't know about DNA. They're dogs.
Okay.
So why do we take this highfalutin idea that humans are so much superior in the animal kingdom to all other animals, and that we can create a sex out of nowhere just because we want it to be?
What is this sex out of nowhere? It's not out of nowhere.
Is it?
No, it's, I mean, if you have read, I mean, if you have read, not
I have a rat.
maybe, no, maybe you have read that before the colonialism in Latin America and in Mexico is
Oh wait, I have
specifically.
reset. Are you saying a rat? Like a rat? The rat that
Read. No, if you have read
red. Oh
or
my god! Thank you.
read, like reading.
If you have red, thank you. I'm sorry. I want to make that
Sorry,
very clear here.
sorry,
I'm a simpleton. We just established.
sorry. And my English is not so good.
It's wonderful. Keep
Um,
going. If we have red,
so in Mexico, before the Spanish colonization, you say?
yeah, yeah, I say it.
Okay. Um, there was a third sex that was called Moshe, and it was quite well known. And it was mostly for those people who were not sure if they were women or men. So
Oh,
we have all these cases of the third sex, if we want to call it like this, even if I don't like it. What does it mean? A first and a second and a third sex or gender? So we're not like making a hierarchy.
Now
And
you're
also
attacking
in
math. Okay, whatever.
what?
I said now you're attacking math, but that's okay. It needs
No,
an attack.
but I mean, because it means like if the first is the best, who's the first and then who's the second?
It
I
doesn't
mean,
necessarily mean that.
and
You applied
let's
that meaning, but keep going.
in our mind it's like this because we give the meaning to the words. So if you say this first, I mean, that's why Simone de Beauvoir, she entitled her book The Second Sex, because she talks about women who were called the second or the weak sex. Let's not go to this kind of language when we also say, oh, the fragile sex, the weak sex. What does that mean? Come on, why are we weak? Like, and you see how powerful language is because people interiorize this. So I just went back to the language, but it makes me so angry. To the language in the sense of all these expression that we use like very innocent things, but they are not innocent at all. They just reinforce our gendered norms and gendered behaviors and gendered, I don't know, yes, I said behaviors and roles and relations and whatever. So if you are used to the word weak sex all your life, you will believe that you're weak.
Well, some could argue if you make your belief system based on everybody else's words and word uses, you are weak. Because at some point, the difference between weakness and strength is how you apply your energy. So you could be strong by not accepting that language or creating your own language or living with that language and not letting it affect you. Hmm.
But
So if
that is so difficult to be
that's
done because
you know what it takes to do difficult things?
it's like a fish living in the it's not that easy when you have always been put down and you know that this is the thing, this is the normal thing, this is the natural thing. It's like the fish in the water. The fish knows just the water. So this is most of the time for women and also for men who maybe they have been told all the time that, oh, you have to provide for your house. Oh, you're the strong one. Oh, you're this. Maybe he doesn't want to be strong and he doesn't want to provide.
Hmm.
But then the society, it's all the time saying, oh, you're the head of the household. Guys, why? Guys and girls, but mostly guys. Why are you putting all this pressure in the sense of the expressions that we use
Oh
and the
yeah,
language that we use?
I actually I hesitantly agree that I understand what you're saying because now that I'm advocating for men's rights more than I ever have before, um, I recognize that men are always told you have to be strong, you have to you know be the provider, the breadwinner, and I take I take a little solace in the idea that it's true because humans, as much as we want to remove ourselves from the animal kingdom, we still live in a situation where survival of the fittest exists. And it's an unfortunate truth. We all want to, or not all of us, but some of us want to look at society and say there's a weaker component. Maybe it's women, maybe it's weak men or weaker men. Not, I don't mean to be derogatory, but people that have less ability, and we want to help them out. But that is very contrary to what happens in nature, and it's a gift that humanity and only humanity brings, that we have that perspective. But the bottom line is, a man in the world, no matter if he's born, in a rich country or a poor country, he has great capability or he has lesser capability. You still have to fight to survive in this world. You have to, no matter what. You have to fight to survive. If that means getting an education, if that means learning how to spell your name, if that means, working hard at a particular job or being confident in who you are and just existing, participating. Those truths are they exist. And I know that you're a very idealistic person, and I respect that and I like that. But there's a point where idealism has to meet realism. It has to meet, where the rubber meets the road. And that is that you have to fight for your existence. You have to fight for your point of view as well.
But can you
You
imagine
can
when you
do that
say,
as well.
yes, so you said that a man has to survive, etc., etc. So can you imagine a woman?
Yes, I can.
She has to double survive because, I mean, I'm talking about the context of my society. And when I say my society, which at this point I really don't know because living everywhere, but anyway, so let's talk about Albania, where I come from. You are born in a society when, since the beginning, when your mom was pregnant, and that happened to me when I was pregnant too, people were saying to me at the beginning when they didn't know that I was expecting a girl, they were saying, "Oh, pray the God is a boy." This is the expression. This is the expression that everybody hears around. And when you say that, oh, it's a girl, oh, next time you will be lucky. Okay, thank you very much. Like, anyway, so, but I didn't care because at that time I was aware that I shouldn't care. But like, you're born in this kind of society. You're like always told that you're second to the boy on
Mm.
everything. So can you imagine what I had to do to survive and also like to counter and to resist to all these things, and not like only me, all a lot of women. So I think, I mean, one of my solutions, as you say, maybe it's very idealistic, but is, can we share a little bit more the responsibility? So maybe not just one part it's considered as responsible for everything and the other part as just serving for everything. So anyway,
I think we
I
do.
also
I think we do share. But I have a concept
too little.
blossomed in my little mind here, and you might
Go
not like
on.
it. You might not like it. So the idea is women have to what was the expression you have to double endure society. Men have to be told you're strong. You have to be strong. Women have to double that effort. You said something around that. Around
I
that. What?
said that yes, I had to do a kind of double survival because I was put down
Oh,
all the time.
so riddle me this: is it possible that due to this necessity of double survival, that women are stronger than men? If it takes
I don't
more,
want to be stronger.
okay, we're not asking that. I didn't ask that question. You're answering a question that's not asked.
It's just I
And
don't
is
want
it
to be
is it
stronger.
possible that under the constraints, the horrible constraints that women have to live under, apparently in Albania, um, that that the fact that they have thrived so much in society, does that mean that they are okay? If you don't want to be more, they're more equal, or they're equal, or I don't even know. We can't do that. But I mean, if they have to endure so much more, and they're you know succeeding, you could make the argument that they're stronger than men.
I said surviving, not succeeding, not thriving. We're not having women thriving in the world. Not in
We're not.
Albania. No.
Oh
Where
Lord.
are these women thriving?
Well,
Where?
okay, so I'm going to have to throw a little bit of disagreement to that argument, because women
It's
are absolutely thriving, and in fact,
where?
if you want to make a distinction between people that thrive and people that don't thrive, I don't think the male female argument is really going to hold up in court. What's going to hold up more is people that have lesser intellectual or physical capabilities, lesser health worthy capabilities. There's a class issue that the world refuses to acknowledge, and they want to argue about race or gender. Um, there's people that are far less capable of surviving regardless of what sex they have based on their class. So to say that women aren't thriving, I would say is oversimplifying things, as you would say to me. How snarky. So snarky.
I mean, they are not thriving. They are not
I'm
thriving
not.
in politics. They are not thriving in employment. They are not thriving in, I don't know, financial incomes in sport. They are not thriving
Just
in
just
being
said
owner.
okay, so sports, let's just
No,
go.
I'm just talking on global. I'm not talking about one specific country, or I'm not talking about Iceland because it's like the top country when it comes to gender equality. And I'm not talking about, I don't know, Sudan or Afghanistan or another country where gender equality. So I'm kind of taking an average, a global average. So this is the reality. I mean, it's better than some years ago, but it's not like thriving, as you said.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to just disagree on that because
Or
I
we
can.
can have another episode just talking about statistics on women and men and everybody else.
So you're saying that men have to do this they have this burden of being men, of being manly, or you didn't say that, but in order, men are always told that they have to be strong and they have to be, the man of the family, and they have to, bring home resources or, things that make your family, viable and, you're whatever. Women do that now too. Women are part of
Yes,
they
yes.
just because their numbers don't show up in like wins at a soccer match between men and women or what have you. It doesn't mean that women are not thriving, surviving and thriving. It doesn't mean that just because language is slanted a little bit more towards men, it kind of makes sense. If women are bearing children, their time is a lot more obligated to that endeavor, and you'll never, you might, people are idiots, but you likely won't hear often a man saying, "Hey, I've made this baby. I'm doing everything for this baby, I or my children, and I'm the most nurturing individual." There's probably some rare examples or exceptions out there, but it's primarily the female. Females have been responsible for nurturing all of humanity, all people. Females are filling that particular um, position, and men won't argue that. And why should they? They can't. But why can't women take on that as like a badge of honor? Instead, they turn it into, oh, we're obligated to do this one thing that has enabled humanity to continue on. I don't understand how you can just cut yourselves, how sometimes women cut themselves short by doing that. That makes
It's
no sense
because
to me.
it's not a badge of honor currently in nowadays. I'm not talking it was not before, but it's not today. I mean,
Only an
it's not a
idiot
badge
would
of
say that
honor.
that's not true.
No, it's not a badge of honor because first of all, if I'm gonna have a baby, I'm gonna lose my job. I'm gonna lose my financial independence. If I want to continue my career because it's needed in these systems that we have today, when you have to, there is no social security in most of the countries, so you have to survive by yourself. So you need to work, and if I need to work, I cannot have this badge of honor. It is going to be an obstacle for a woman all the time. And if you see, and there is this kind of connotation also with what you said previously about men not nurturing babies, in some countries who are currently the best countries regarding the welfare states, so where you have this very good system of social security and you have parental leave for men and women, and you see that there are high number of children. As I said, Iceland before, and I was looking at the documentary like few days ago, no, few weeks ago, and there was this couple, and they had four children, and the wife, the woman, she said that she had no worries about having these four children because first of all they had this shared parental leave, and also she could not be fired, like it was not possible to be fired from the job just because she got pregnant. So her job position was there, was waiting for her, and she also had a lot of trainings after the leave in order to catch up with what she missed, etc., etc. And she was also sharing with her husband. And she had these four children, no problems in the career. Is a little bit the same, I think, in Sweden and in Norway and in Denmark. Is losing so much in Italy. I mean, you see in Italy, you don't have the fertility rate. It's so low because people are afraid to have children. And I'm not just talking about women in this case. In the case of Italy, it's also about men because they don't have to have this, they don't like to have this responsibility of creating families and blah, blah, blah. Let's not go there. So I think that it's so related. Like this badge of honor, it's not the luxury of all women. I would like to have it, but I cannot have it. And I was also reading another article about China, when some young women, they were saying that when they were having the interview, job interviews, they were asked, "Are you planning to get pregnant?" And so that was a kind of a crucial question, not to be hired. If you're saying that, oh, yes, maybe I'm thinking to get married. So we have this kind of postponing the age of marriage in China because women, they have to work. Now, is it right that they have to work? Why not? I mean, we live in a capitalistic society, so we have to work in order to have some money.
I think
This is
it's
what I think.
I think we live in a naturalistic society, and
Mm,
well, I don't know what that sound means, but it's true. It's natural to, if you want to procreate, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. And
not only the women.
I was going to say mostly the women. Of course, not only the women, but mostly the women. And
Why?
you
Why?
just articulated exactly why. Because the sacrifices that need to be made are those that of independence and finance. And but a lot of this is, these are naturalistic views, and they're very logical to look at them that way because
We're not a naturalistic society. That's it. We're a social society. We're living
we
with each
should be more
other.
naturalistic and natural
Oh my goodness,
law,
no.
not the legal version of that, but the fact that nature exists is always going to have a participation. It's going to have a say in these arguments, in these battles. Let's face it, if you can't, as a woman or a man, if you can't work enough to provide for yourself, you can't provide for somebody else. So the idea of procreation, which I know is anti-trans, and we went way off course here, but that's okay. That has to be, if not, if not an agreement, I guess an accident in order to make a child. Um, but that's still very naturalistic. And the idea that a woman is going to have to, if she's going to have a baby, if she's participating in continuing this life and not destroying it as a lot of people would do, um, she's going to have to sacrifice. That's just part of the game. That's very natural.
No.
That a woman's not going to be out working out on an oil rig when she's pregnant. That's just not going to happen. I mean, it could happen, but it's not going to make a baby. Not a good baby. Maybe a greasy baby. I don't know. But my point is that
I
the society that you're talking about might not be the right instrument for humans to continue on. So you talked
I'm
about
talking about a society with four children for
exactly
women.
talking about this society example, or the Swedish example, where they have these four children and everything's good. Guess what? That's called natural selection. Their culture will continue based on the fact that they have four kids. And the Italian model you brought up, if they're
Because
not
they have changed the
if they're not having kids, their society will not continue. These are
because
simple
of
truths.
their government. It's not
Well, their
natural.
government's
It's
not going to exist either.
a, I mean, I would hope so. Uh,
I
anyway,
love Italian food. Don't say that. That's
no,
not.
no, no. I'm talking just about the government. So,
Oh, get rid of the government,
uh,
keep the food. That makes sense. But you understand what I'm saying, though. What I'm saying is
yes,
that if you have a
but it
system
means it is
that doesn't
social
work,
and
it is,
political.
everything's social and political. Everything is social and political. Everything's natural. Everything's natural, social, and political. Everything that has to do with humans.
And you agree that the social democratic system are the best.
No, but what I do agree with is that the cultures that allow for people to be able to procreate successfully are going to continue, and the cultures that don't advocate for that are going to continue, or not going to continue, or continue to a lesser degree.
I don't mind. They have to reflect on that. If they don't see what's the problem, I mean,
True, they'll
yeah,
figure
and the
it out.
problem,
It's a simple
I
truth. They'll
hope
figure it out,
so.
or they won't.
I hope so that they'll figure it out. But I mean, it doesn't, I mean, I was just taking the examples of of the Nordic countries because to make the connection with the social welfare,
Yeah,
how helpful it is for women also to have a career and to have babies. We have so many other societies where women are just having babies, and that's
I
their role.
think
So
I'm going to call this out. Have thought about it enough. The
baby thing, yes.
the Nordic argument is bullshit. It's absolute bullshit, because the Northern argument isn't based on gender or culture or race. It's based on resources. For God's sake, you give me a big pile of money, and I'm going to be able to have
They
a better existence than somebody that doesn't have a big pile of money. And don't tell me they don't have.
they have they have no, it's also based on the redistribution of these resources, which makes
Oh
a
my God.
huge
Okay,
difference.
stop. You
I
can't
mean, come on.
redistribute nothing.
No.
That
Yes, yes.
you can
So
redistribute.
they no,
Here, I've got
they
some
have
numbers.
the resources. They have the resources and they are redistributing them well. And you have other countries with a lot of resources. You have the Gulf countries. They are very rich, but the redistribution, come on, it's not so good or so well done as in the Nordic countries. So
Absolutely agree,
we
but that's
have,
my point. My point is that the countries, you should concentrate on the countries that don't have resources.
oh, I can concentrate on them all the time.
Those
Let's,
are the ones that
yes.
you need to look at, because countries that don't have resources, they're the ones. I don't even know what the hell we're talking about anymore. But those are the cultures that are going to have non-naturalistic. I don't even know if that's the best way to put it. I don't know. You're bringing up the example of the Nordic countries, and you're trying to establish that everything that they have is good. Everything they're doing,
No, no. I was
they're
just
making the
talking
best.
about
They're making the
having a
best.
baby.
Well, yeah, you can't have a baby without resources. I mean,
No, have a baby and continue your career so the women don't have to sacrifice. We were talking just about that. Nothing
okay,
else about
that
the
happen in a
Nordic
poor
countries.
country? Can that happen in a
Hmm?
poor country? Can that happen in a country that doesn't have resources?
If everything changes, yes. If the society changes.
Oh
But you
my
keep
God!
it in the
You can't
natural
bring in
thing.
an exception like if everything changes
Of
in current
course.
state, in the current state.
No,
There,
because no, it's the natural thing, and we're not at the natural stage. So that's the huge difference. That's why we're human.
We go
Because
really
maybe we have this third level of logic and cognition, so maybe we can make some abstraction and think and reflect and make some projections and planify for our future, so which differs from the other animals. Maybe we should put it and it on use. How do you say it in English? I don't know.
I'm not sure what point you're making right now, but that's okay.
No, I'm making the point that we cannot just stay at the natural stage. It's
Ah,
not possible.
well, I would say that that takes that requires a little bit of thinking about, because from my perspective, the things that are most successful are the things that follow nature, and that's because they're not artificial. Things that are
Where the
artificial,
big fish eats the small fish? No, I cannot think
unfortunately,
of a
yes,
society.
that is success. That big fish will live.
We could all live.
Not for small fish.
Yes,
Anyway,
we're
I
not
think we
fishes.
definitely we definitely got off the topic here, um, and I can see we're pretty much we're over an hour, so maybe we'll cut it off here because I
We
don't think we
forgot
really.
about language.
Yeah, we didn't
My
do it.
goodness.
We didn't talk about language. We talked about fish and
It's
baby.
your fault.
I blame me. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Sacrifice yourself.
No, you do
Take the
it.
blame. Take the blame.
It's not me. You do it. I take.
Okay.
I don't know how we got onto we got off of the topic we wanted.
Isn't this what we do most of the time?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah, so
Yeah, why not? I mean, some of the things have to be talked about. You have to explore some of the backgrounds of the underpinning efforts and things that make our society real. Um, I think I think I'm going to try to do a little. I don't want to say research, but keeping my eye open for how things that are natural benefit us, because I think
okay.
naturalism, if that's a word, if it's used right, probably isn't. I think that is something that's the best for us. Things that happen naturally that take less effort, by definition, or should be easier. And there's a lot of examples. I would say capitalism is an example of natural. That's why I think the whole idea of Marxism is just ridiculous bullshit. You're never going to get a bunch of people to agree on anything, let alone the rules and the policies that their society or culture are going to follow. I think Marx was an idiot. However, capitalism is based on the idea of survival of the fittest, or the intention to do something, and that's why you have innovation through capitalism, and
But
that's how
didn't
it's similar to natural life.
didn't Marx explain so well what capitalism is and like what you're doing now? But also he said how capitalism would destroy us as humans.
And where's he now?
And talking about class, I mean, he's dead, but we are talking about him, which means that he was kind of clever guy,
The
you
guy
know?
that wrote the cartoon, or that created the Muppets, Jim Henson. We talked about him too, but he hasn't created any great ideas to
No, no, no,
fix
we're not talking about
society.
him the same as we are talking about Marx.
I am
You know
yourself.
what what one of my professors in at the University of Lausanne, and you like Vilfredo Pareto, you talk about the 20 and 80 thing,
Frequency,
and
of
so
course.
yeah. And so one of my professors, when he was talking about Marx, and it was back in 96, he said that, how could I explain Marx to you? You know how Jesus is for like heaven and the religious part? And he said, this is Marx for the earth. And
Yeah.
it was 96 after the fall of communism. In Albania, everybody was saying BS about Marx. And so I went to Switzerland and I have this professor saying this. So I was like, okay, let me reflect a little bit about this because I don't know where I am. So anyway, he was a very good sociologist. I'm not an economist and I cannot talk about it, but how he explained capitalism was really to the point.
Mm.
Ah.
Yeah, it's I think easy to explain it because it's natural. That's okay. That's okay. We have different opinions on that. All right. Well, I guess maybe next time we'll talk about language. I didn't even get to bring in Appendix B from 1984 or anything
Yes, and
like that. I mean,
me talking about Wittgenstein and whatever I had found about language. Come
goodness.
on. Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll do a language part 7 or 2. I don't know. We'll have to talk about it.
Yeah.
All right. That was a fun time.
Yeah.
See you later.
Say hi to Freya.
Oh, hey Freya. Yours is hi. Later.
Bye bye.